Welcome back to the Two Blues podcast and to another Two Blues Tuesday. I'm back with my co-host, Mr. C Money Picks, to talk not just all things Chelsea, all things football. We have UCL going on right now. We are watching the Benfica-Barcelona game. It's about to be half-time. Lamine Yamal and Rafinha masterclass seeing Barcelona virtually through to the quarterfinals, but we will discuss that more in a little bit. For now, let's get straight into it, man. Make sure to like, comment, subscribe to the channel if you haven't already. But Chelsea back to winning ways. If you haven't already, go and watch Charms' latest Chopping It Up with Charms. Dropped today, my bad, tardiness on my front, but it still stands. We are back. We are more positive. We have points on the board, goals, and more importantly, back-to-back clean sheets. Charms, talk to me about the importance of these last three Chelsea wins, back-to-back wins across two competitions.
Yeah, no, that's what I was going to say. I think that the one thing that, we can always draw positives from wins. It's been a minute since we strung a couple of them together. But what I like is that the fact that they've been in multiple competitions, we haven't slipped or dropped the ball in Europe. We've kept that consistent. We've had the ball rolling against Southampton. Obviously, drubbed them. I understand the side that they are is not impressive. But, I was a little bit worried about that Leicester game. It's always a game that we should have won. But obviously, with the whole who needs it more sort of energy and the players at Leicester have, it just felt like this was a time where we would kind of go back to normality and it would be 0-0, 1-1, probably more accurate. Especially after the Palmer miss, it's not something that you see every day, an absolute collector's item from Cole Palmer. So, I'm happy to see the ball rolling. That's one, that's two, that's three, off the back of three losses in a row. Billing back up with 3 wins. So, just stacking the points up again. Happy to be back in Europe. Obviously, Thursday is a big game as well. The second leg against Copenhagen. This one being at home, I reckon we'll get it done. And then leaves the hard game against Arsenal a little bit down the line, a Sunday away. But yeah, man, very exciting times. It's good to be back on the run, and the team's looking sharper than ever. But we'll get into that a little bit later.
100%. And before we get into the positives, because at the end of the day, I don't want to sit here and drag Chelsea through the mud after we've just done 3 wins on the trot. And very quickly, shout out Ed Weed. Appreciate you, my guy. Big up the Two Blues. Trust the process. The process is coming good. However, one player that is faltering, and look, Charms, I don't want to go into it too much because we discussed it last week, obviously. It's no secret that Cole Palmer is in the worst form of his short Chelsea career so far. Is it the one thing that I will say is, look, we've been, heavily behind him. We've said, give him the opportunities. The games that we've played recently have been, lower opposition. They've given him a little bit more leeway if he does drop a stinker. Arsenal, beginning of the end. That is the beginning of the run-in. If we do beat Copenhagen, we go into that in fantastic form, fantastic momentum with 4 wins on the bounce. But is it time potentially to drop Cole Palmer, even if it's just for a game? Or is he going to come back and do the big? Are we going to regret that if we drop Cole Palmer in a big game against Arsenal?
Yeah, I think that maybe not the Arsenal game, but I wouldn't have been surprised if he doesn't play that game in Copenhagen. I understand that he hasn't played in the competition in the knockout period, just kind of due to the level he was at compared to who we were able to play, but. I think now it's kind of the opposite. I think you kind of don't play him in the crucial points because I just don't think it's really been ticking. And just to add to your point, when you said that it's the worst form Cole Palmer's been in his Chelsea career, I would argue in his professional career, man. Honestly, I didn't see this dip in form again in City. I thought that
really.
Yeah, well, to be totally honest, but we have to take that into consideration. He's always been excited. He's always been a fun player. He hasn't. In my opinion, he hasn't had that normal trajectory of talent, where he started off all right and really come into his own. We just kind of realised he was a baller at City, brought him in, and he's just been a baller at Chelsea. There wasn't the unlocking, he was always there. And I think now with how he's been playing, I understand it against like the Brightons and whatnot, not putting up a goal or assist. It's difficult. Not putting up a shot on target against Brighton was wild. And then to follow that up against no goals against Southampton, no assists against Southampton, no goals against Leicester, no assists against Leicester. These are sides that Cole Palmer should be, as you was putting out at the time, he should be putting up numbers here. He should be really trying to get his get back with the little dip in form. And if we're being totally honest, it's been about 8 weeks now, of not bad performances, but by a massive degree an underperformance, from the player that I know that Cole Palmer is. So, yeah, maybe it is time to just give him a rest, just give him a game out, see what we can do. You know, we've got Nkunku there in that 10. Let's see if that works. You know, let's not just hang our hats and rest our laurels on what we know and what we have. Let's throw the dice. What do we have to lose? You know what I mean? I'm sure you agree with that logic. I don't think we have anything else to really lose, to be totally honest.
Yeah, I think we've got a few players in there that, you know, we've said for a while are kind of scrapping for that position. And, you know, João Felix must be absolutely kicking himself because this is the situation which would have been perfect for him to come straight into the team. However, he's, you know, decided to go over to Milan, not getting the game time that he probably would be getting here over there right now. It's the story that it's, you know, it's commentator's curse. If he didn't move, Cole Palmer would probably still be slapping in the goals week in, week out. But yeah, undoubtedly a huge drop off for him. And I'd be the same. You know, I'd be hoping that you give him a week off. You know, I know Enzo Maresca came out and said after the game, you know, he had a runny stomach, coming out and saying that the bloke's got diarrhea in the post-match conference. Just fucking smash his aura to the floor while you're at Enzo. Don't worry about his fucking public standpoint. Just tell him the bloke's shitting his guts out, and that's why he can't play. Regardless, man, I feel like it was unnecessary. I feel like it's a bit of a catch-22 because if we'd have not played Parma and then not got the result against Leicester, Enzo would have been hung out to dry. It would have been manager's head on a spike. But at the same time, you do look at that game in hindsight and think, did we need to burn him out? We could have probably just left him on the bench. And then if we needed him, bring him on. But yeah, kind of similar to what you said, I'd rest him this Thursday, you know, leave him at home against Copenhagen. We've got more than enough quality, more than enough players that aren't getting the minutes as is. And, you know, Conference League, it's not something he's been heavily involved with up until last week. So, you know, don't feel like he is needed to be in part of the squad this Thursday. And obviously, yeah, you know, we can't sit here and talk about the importance of that Arsenal game enough. You know, it is a massive, massive game in our season, in their season. And all we want to do at the moment is take points off them. Let's just kill their season. Let's just get it dead and buried. I ain't looking to go, to go and win. I'm looking to come out there 0-0. The most demon 0-0 performance, the most boring 0-0 backs to the wall performance. As long as we can take 2 points of Arsenal, could not give less of a fuck. But one man that will probably be in that back line and obviously made his return against Leicester, Wes Fofana. Now, we did bring Trevor Chalobah back in January. He has now got a minor injury. Not sure when he will be back, but hopefully it's not too long. But it seems like the case with Chelsea at the moment. One gets bought in, another one falls down. It's like dominoes. They don't seem to want to stay fit at the same time. But as a general kind of consensus this season, any solid centre-back pairing in the Premier League has had Wesley Fofana at the heart of it. How important do you think, obviously, with, you know, Chalobah, Adebayo, you know, Disasi has gone now, Badiashile still injured. There's a little bit more of an opportunity for him to come back and kind of stake his claim in that defence. But how do you feel about him?
I think he's the key to a lot of our wins. To be honest, I think people don't realise how important he is. I think the numbers don't lie. You know, you look at the games he's in, you look at the win ratio, you look at the games he's out, you look at the win ratio again. I mean, particularly when him and Colwill are both together and clicking. You know, I feel like Colwill really gets the best out of his own performances when he's there next to Fofana. And it's difficult when he's got to be the runner and he's got to be the one making the decisions and kind of being the leader. I like it when he leaves kind of Wes to do that, and he's a bit more the cleanup. You know what I mean? I think that the way that they've almost had that mutual agreement on the push and pull works so well, and we've seen that time and time again. And you know, even when we are conceding goals, a lot of the time it comes down to errors from fullbacks. It comes directly from the goalkeeper. You know, with a dodgy pass, leaving the centre backs chasing after it. Striker gets it. The amount of them I've seen this season, I'm not even annoyed by it anymore. I kind of expect him every other game. So yeah, you know, I just think that, as we said, when we do get in the next year round, the new goalkeepers come round. You know, we get Ian Jorgensen, we get Petrovic back in, and we get rid of Sanchez. You know, we get Penn to see what he's saying. I think that it's going to mean a lot for the centre backs. But at the very minute, yeah, I'm very happy that Wes is back, and I think that you can't undermine his importance. You know, he's probably one of the first 3 names of the team sheet.
Yeah, no, what you said there, kind of having that push and pull, having the yin and the yang of a sweeping, a defensive centre back, someone that can step back and look at the game and see everything in front of them in Levi Colwill, and then you've got that front foot forward, aggressive, dual winning centre half that wants to step forward into midfield, and Wes Fofana does that so well, and I think he did show a couple of times against Leicester, really, really solid ball carrying abilities. And one kind of defender that I've been watching a lot more closely over the last few weeks and has really impressed, particularly in the last couple of games, Landon Emanalo, 17 years old, playing for the under-21s and under-18s, played the under-18s today, but has played for the under-21s multiple times, did so on Friday night at centre-back. I was worried going there, looking at a 6'5" Ipswich centre half, fucking burly as fuck, thinking Landon Emanalo is going to get absolutely shifted out the way here. The kid is exceptional on the ball, off the ball, composure, ball carrying, distribution. I think we've got a lot of quality centre backs, particularly in the youth setup, and I think it's good to see players like Levi Colwill coming in and making a name for themselves, because it shows to these youngsters in the academy there is a path, there is a route to progress, there is a route to the first team. And there are so many positions where I feel like that isn't so much of a case. Out wide, I feel like we invest so much money. Number 9, you look at quality players like Donnell McNeely, Shin Mayuka. I don't think they're ever going to get the chance to be the out-and-out number 9 because of the nature of the business. But certain players, I think, are coming through. And Levi Colwill, while he hasn't blown the world away this season, and I'll still stand by it and say I think he's an excellent player, a player that I wouldn't look at any price tag to sell. But I think what's more important with him, Reece James, is the fact that these youngsters can see a path to the first team. And, we've seen multiple players added on the bench in the last couple of weeks. Genesis Antwi got his first call up, albeit no minutes at the weekend, but so many players being called up this season. And it's great to see that Maresca sees that and has faith in the youth, because while we will undoubtedly go out and spend heavily in the summer, probably look at a 9, a keeper, a centre-back, a centre-mid, God knows how many other positions, that worst comes to worst. And if those moves don't come to fruition, we have a fantastic pool of talent to fall back on in the youth teams. But a great weekend for them. Shout out Landon Emanalo, Ryan Kavuma McQueen.
Just to quickly add to that, I was just going to say one other thing about Levi Colwill, which must be so encouraging for these youth players, is a lot of the time, particularly in modern football, like if you do go out on loan from the academy to a professional side to play first team football, a lot of the time that kind of dispels you might be looking at a way out. We might be looking at trying to shift you off. You're kind of getting replaced. And I think that Reece James, it was like, you come straight from the academy, you start chipping in games, and you play well enough, you'll be on the first team, But I think that with Levi Colwill, it really goes to show, you can go and spend a year or 2 at Brighton, at a club like that, and you really can have the ability at this club to go and hone your skills elsewhere. And when you come back, you do have the option to slide into that squad. We're not just going to try and shift you out. And I think that if I was a young up-and-coming centre-back, if I was a full-back at Cobham and there was rumours of me going on loan at the beginning of next season, I'd be thinking, all right, this is my time. I'm going to go out on loan. I'm going to bang them out. I'm going to make sure I'm the best player on whatever team I'm at to make sure I'm good enough for Chelsea. Because it's not going to be, okay, let me impress the gaffer here so I could sign and get a long-term contract at Burnley. You know what I mean? It will be more like there's players obviously like Leo Castledine, for example, who's at the very bottom of League One with Shrewsbury, rock bottom. It's going to be difficult for a player like that to really cast his own into the Chelsea side. Yeah. But if he gets another season in the Championship, say he goes to like a Pompey and then they start looking good and then they get the top 10, we'll start analysing the individual performance and he won't come back. It's not just going to be you're gone. You're a League One player now. You will get the opportunity to get another one and go until, because we have the best academy in the world as far as I'm concerned, especially with these players like defenders and you watch them more and more at the minute. And you know what I'm saying? Like the level that these 18-year-olds, these 19-year-olds are playing at, it's fucking mind blowing, man. And it must be really meaningful for a player like Colwill to have left, come back, had the faith in him, and now he's back, even with a bad spell of form at the club that he's at, still to be playing consistent football. It's a good thing to see.
Yeah, no, it's fantastic. And on the topic of pushing the youth, shout out. I think he might be 15. They said he was 14 on commentary. Isaac Badu made his debut for the development squad at the weekend. I was told he was 14 years old playing against fucking 18, 19-year-olds. I think he might be 15, but the kid is quality. And yeah, plenty of talent there. Ryan Mavuma McQueen, Chizzy's got a couple of goals, Ezen Wata, Yaya Idrissi, fantastic. But yeah, we will be doing a lot more focus on the youth team, the loanees next season as well, giving a lot more of a comprehensive breakdown on the championship. We both understand how important, I think the championship is probably the second most important league in the world. Premier League is number one, obviously, always has been, always will be. Championship, I'd argue, is the second most competitive league. Actually, you know what? I'd argue the Championship is the most competitive league. I'd say it's more competitive than the Premier League. I think
I would agree.
You've got the whole kind of anyone can beat anybody in the Premier League. That is doubled, if not tripled, in the Championship, as shown by, you referenced Pompey versus beating Leeds the other day. I think the Championship is the ultimate league to send a loanee out to. It just shows, even if you've got the technical ability, you need to play men's football. I would sooner send an 18-year-old Landon Emanalo, a 17-year-old Landon Emanalo to the Blue Square Premier than I would La Liga or the Dutch League or the French League. I think lower league is just so underrated in terms of being able to mold a player, and it makes or breaks players. And look, it's unfortunate because at the end of the day, they're not all going to succeed. They're not all going to reach the heights that I'm sitting here gassing them up to get to. But if you put them through their paces, you send them through, you throw them in at the deep end, you're going to see what they're made of. And I do feel like that will massively benefit quite a few of those Chelsea players, one of whom is Tyreek George, and we will get into him in a little bit of time. But I want to kind of bring it back to the, just before we get into the second half of Benfica Barcelona. I just want to bring it back and ask you a question very quickly, Charms. Out of this Chelsea squad, how many players do you think are the best in their position in the Premier League, and which players? Because I think you could argue 3. I think Cole Palmer's not doing himself any favours right now, so it might be 2.5. But I would still, off this season and last, I'd still put him in there. But there are 2 other players, 2 other positions where I think you could definitely argue we have the best player in the league in their position. I think one of them is set and very, very easy. We both know who that is. But the second one, I'm interested to hear your thoughts. Where do you think Marc Cucurella ranks?
I agree.
In terms of Prem left backs.
I could name you a left back with more dog. I mean, I could probably list a player who's faster. I could probably list you a player who's stronger. You can even look at sides like Fulham if you wanted to see some strength. I could name you players with more tenacity. I could probably even name you players with more technical ability. But if I was to ask you to name me a more well-rounded attacking left back in the Premier League, you couldn't answer that without the answer being Marc Cucurella. He's far and away the best attacking fullback, I would argue, in the Premier League, let alone left back. I think as a fullback, there's no one better at going forward. The goals he's been putting up, obviously, numbers are one thing. But the ability to be, do you know what it is for me, mate? It's the ones he doesn't score. How many highlights and opportunities have we had where the last person coming in to make the effort is Cucurella? What is our fullback doing in the box during multiple highlights? He's so ready to be involved in these attacks, but he's always there when you need him in defence. He's never out of place, and that is what it is for Cucurella. And you can go back a year, 2 years, and see all these videos of me slagging him off, saying I'm not a big fan of Cucurella. Before the Euros, I wasn't a big fan of Cucurella. He had a fantastic Euros. He came back. I was wondering if he could continue the form. He earned his stripes with me personally about 6 months ago. For the 6 months since then, to be keeping up these impressive performances, it literally comes off a fantastic tournament and just keeps the ball rolling. He's still got the red dye in his hair. He has to, with the performance he's been putting up recently, man. It's nothing short of impressive. We don't even need to talk about Reece James. We don't need to. It's too obvious. He's the other one. It was never going to be a question.
Oh, I think we got shit. The best... I didn't even think of Reece James, brother.
Oh, well, that's who I was thinking. I think we got the best fullbacks in the league. Yeah.
Oh, shit.
Who's number 3? That's what. That's got me curious because I couldn't. Caicedo in the 6.
Before we go on to the next one, let's just talk about Cucurella very quickly. So you mentioned a couple of players, obviously Fulham, Anthony Robinson, fantastic season. Is there anybody else you think? Because I'm curious. I've pulled up 4 defenders. I've pulled up Cucurella and 3 comparisons. Anthony Robinson is 1. I've pulled up 2 other players to compare him to. So I'm interested if you can guess who those other 2 left backs are that I've picked out this season in the Prem.
Guardiola, probably no. Wow. And wouldn't it be Robbo? Connor Bradley?
No,
Does he count
no.
left back? Go, who you got?
So I got one from Newcastle,
Come on now, our boy.
Lewis
I'm a
Hall, and
motherfucking
then
our boy.
Bournemouth, Milos Kerkez.
I think he's overrated, man.
Oh, do you not see that
I
assist at the
don't. I
weekend?
don't.
You not see the way
No,
he put
yeah,
the ball into someone?
nah. But he's a
All
fucking
right,
Premier League fullback, mate.
all
30
right.
games in, he's gonna have
Can
a
you
highlight.
see
But
those? Can you see those stats?
yeah, yes,
Beautiful.
sir.
All right. So these aren't obviously all the stats. I have kind of cherry picked them on what is the most applicable to a defender. But you can clearly see straight off the bat, as you alluded to, attacking wise, there's no one better than Cucurella. You look here at shots, shot accuracy, goals, conversion rate. Where's the other one? Through balls equal on 0.1 on Milos Kerkez, better than Robinson. There's no one better moving forward in the Premier League this season than Marc Cucurella. I think you could probably argue in terms of here, the chances created, the passes attempted, the crossing accuracy. I'd argue he is massively hurt. Also, the take on success, stuff like that, massively hurt by obviously the fact that he is in the centre of midfield. And he does that inverting role rather than staying out wide. But you can see that he does get up, touches in an opposition box, 2.3 per game.
And the other thing I think that these stats aren't really taken into consideration is the fact that we've been struggling with a striker. When we've had Jackson, he's been great, but he's not exactly a world-class striker. And he's been injured for a little bit now. But then Lewis Hall's got arguably, in my opinion, the best striker in the world right now up top. So I think that when you're looking at assist numbers and chance creations and stuff like that, they're going to lean on the side of Lewis Hall. So the fact that Cucurella is comparable in most, if not better in some, I think it's very impressive.
Yeah, and this is by no means, obviously, let us know in the comments who you think is better. This is no means a definitive answer. Obviously, as you can see, there are multiple different metrics and certain players are better than others. I'm not sitting here and saying categorically Marc Cucurella is better, but I think from the balance of these statistics, you can see that he does have more of an impact, more of an effect in a central area in the opposition half. And I feel like obviously, that's a fantastic attribute for him to have, given the fact that he is playing in this inverted role. But again, it's just going from strength to strength. This is a defender who I would have said last season his best attributes were his 1v1 defending, his ability to, win ground duels, win all these duels. I'm looking here, aerial duel success, 32%, ground duels 1, obviously success, 57%, fantastic. But it's less about the duels and the defending work and more about how he is on the ball. And I feel like this is an ideal player that can do multiple roles. And we saw it at the weekend. He made the joke when his FIFA card came out about, just taking shots from anywhere. But how many times have we seen him get in the position he got in against Leicester, that left central position in and around the box? And more often than not, he hasn't had the balls to take that shot on and slam it in. But this time he's thought, you know what? Fuck it, why not? What have I got to lose? 0-0, 60 minutes, just have a fucking whack. That's how we scored it, against Copenhagen with Reece James. That's the benefit of having these adaptable defenders that can do more in the final third. And I will say, I think these maybe statistics don't do him justice. And obviously you have got players like Kerkez, Robinson that face more shots, have to do a lot more defensive work. But I think on the face of it, I'd say there's not a better left back in the Premier League, or not a more consistent left back in the Premier League this season. But before we go into that third, we'll go to Cole Palmer. Well, very quickly, who would you compare Cole Palmer to? Because I've chosen two players in terms of position-wise. I've chosen Odegaard and Fernandes. I might have chosen Saka if he hadn't have been injured for the last 2 months. It's not really fair on him to, even though it's per 90, it's not really fair on either of them to include him. But is there another player, any other players that you think are similar to Cole Palmer I could throw in there, or should we just do these three?
Ooh, it is tough, it is tough because I feel like there's moments where you get that like De Bruyne-esque sort of like control and part. But I think that overall, if you were to draw anyone, I would think that he's probably got the same eye for goal that Fernandes has in terms of just switch off, turn around, let's try and bag one. And Maybe a little bit less of that from Odegaard, but definitely that creativity that Odegaard has. So yeah, I can understand the comparisons for sure.
Right. 7, 1, 2, 3, 4, 5. 1, 2. All right. Cole Palmer wins this. Cole Palmer wins 7-5 to 2. So, shot accuracy, somehow, unbelievably, fucking Martin Odegaard leads, having the absolute stinkiest season of his entire career, and somehow is leading the first statistic. But you can still see, even with, non-penalty goals, the fact that everyone, pen armour, way clear of fucking Odegaard and Fernandes, but the conversion rate is what gets me. It's double of what Martin Odegaard's is, and 5 points higher than Bruno Fernandes, obviously with a significant amount more shots, goals, chances taken. And I do think, this to me just shows that on his day, he's the best in the world.
Yeah.
And I'm kind of thinking that like, oh shit, I've just watched Lamine Yamal do stupid things in a Barcelona shirt. But the fact that Cole Palmer has not scored or assisted, not contributed positively for 8 games, and we're going on a per 90 comparison here, and he still runs rings around Odegaard and Fernandes.
It's fucking insane, isn't it?
It's fucking nuts, mate.
It is insane, man. Like, I think that we definitely don't. Obviously we do respect Cole Palmer, like to the nth degree. I think that he's been the best thing to come to our best player to come to our club since Eden Hazard. There's no describing the love I got for the guy, but there has definitely been a drop in quality. But he's just still doing the dirt. He's still doing the numbers. And although, he might not be having the sexiest football at the minute, and it might not be as enjoyable to watch. On his day, the eye test speaks for itself. You just watch Chelsea. He just captures your eye, man. Like I was doing. What was I doing the other day? I was watching I think it was when I watched Luka Doncic's first game at the LA Lakers, and it was LeBron James that was grabbing my attention. I was like, my God, man, this guy is just unbelievable. And I feel like it's the same. You can watch Chelsea as an Arsenal fan. Next week, Chelsea versus Arsenal, and if he has the game that I'm expecting, it will be like, Jesus, that Palmer's fucking good, isn't it? It's not just going to be the match of the day highlights or the goals that you see in a 3-minute clip. It's going to be when you watch the 90 minutes of football. My God, the passing range on this guy, the confidence to take on. How's he just beat Saka like that? How's he just taken on this guy like that? It's going to be the things that you hear out of these Arsenal fan mouths. And we're not going to be saying it will be them, because it always is. It's always the opponents that are so in shock by his ability, and we see it time and time again. And even during this dip in form, like I can imagine there is so much fear when he's in front of goal, and he can do it with the shits as well. But yeah, man, I think that we definitely need to just give him a minute to get back to normality. And when he is on form, we've got the best 10 in world football, realistically.
Love to hear it, man. I added Salah there for the shits and giggles, and I nearly just removed him extremely quickly because it's made everyone else look really, really bad. My brother in Christ, he has a 31% conversion rate. What the fuck?
Yeah,
that is not.
He's having a Ballon d'Or season, mate. He's having a Ballon d'Or season.
Nah. If Mo Salah wins the Ballon d'Or, this podcast is gone. Gone, I tell you. Oh, fuck! Well, there goes my question. Who's the third player? Fucking Moises Caicedo is the third player. Can't believe you didn't think that Moises Caicedo was the best in his position, right? Well, talk to me then, Charms. Why didn't you immediately think that Caicedo was the best in his position, and who was in your mind when you were thinking?
Well, because you said 2.5, and I figured the half was Palmer. I figured the other was Cucurella, and you would not have missed out Reece James. So you know what I mean? That's just what came to my mind. Fair enough, understandable. I forgot about Caicedo, to be totally frank. But if we're being honest, the minute that you said that, it wasn't the first person that came into my head is Moises Caicedo. I think that it's annoying you got it on the screen, because I was going to say the only person that you could really have a comparison with, in my opinion, is Gravenberch. I think that he's been phenomenal this season for Liverpool. I think that both of them clear Declan Rice, particularly this season. Maybe the stats say different, but watching the game, I couldn't agree with him being in this list, to be totally honest. I don't think he's having a fantastic year, but yeah, Caicedo, you want him, you need him, you got him, all of that, he's there. Whatever you need him to do, he shut up, he'll get it done, he'll do the dirty work, he'll get a 90%, 95% pass accuracy over the game. with 22 out of 23 completed tackles. I mean, you look at the stats that this guy puts up at the end of games, and you're like, really? Because you don't even see it sometimes. I mean, it just feels like the game stops. And something that we used to complain about a lot when this podcast started was when Chelsea were just knocking it left to right, and there was nothing going on. And I feel like he makes opponent teams feel like they're playing like that, because the amount that he just cuts out and moves on, the amount that he just cuts it and goes, he makes people frustrated. He makes teams feel like, Jesus, we've got to do so much to get through that midfield, because they have to. They really, really do. And I think that on his day, there's no beating a player like Moises Caicedo. I mean, he's making the price tag not only look justified, but look quite cheap.
Yeah. So, off the bat, yeah, easy there. 5 for Declan Rice, 10 for Caicedo, and 5 for Gravenberch. I mean, that's quite apt, because I can tell you now for a fact, this is double the player that either of those players are. Big up Moses and Dakai as well. Appreciate you guys joining. 1000%, bro. Caicedo is not just top 2 DM in the league. He's top 2 DM in the world. I think at the moment, Pedri is unbelievable, running every single game for Barcelona. I don't know if I'd call him a DM. I don't know if I'd say he's a defensive midfielder, the same as Moises Caicedo is a defensive midfielder. I'd say Pedri's more of a playmaker, more kind of close to Enzo Fernandez in terms of player profile. But I think Moises Caicedo is the only player in world football I've seen get scrutinized because he wins too many tackles. He literally gets fouls given against him because the referee cannot understand how the guy wins so many fucking tackles. It is genuinely unfair. The maths don't math. Like, there is not a player that should be winning all these duels, all these tackles so well, so cleanly. And yeah, the amount of times we've said that Caicedo does the dirty work. He does the job that just goes under the radar, that Mikel, Makelele, Kante. We are blessed to have had some of the best DMs in world football. The only one that we never got to see was Sergio Busquets in a Chelsea shirt. But apart from that, I think you could fill the top 5 DMs in world football, in the history of world football, with Chelsea players. I mean, again, Xavi, a little bit more of a playmaker. Glad to see that Daka agrees with us as well. More of a playmaker. I think if you're looking at just purely a protective screen, not a better player in the world than Caicedo. And just talk to me about our midfield, how you see that lining up. Because obviously, Caicedo, unbelievably good defensive midfielder. Romeo Lavia, we both rate incredibly highly, but obviously, just hasn't had the string of games to his name so far. Enzo Fernandez as well, coming into his own. He's adding that Lampard, late runs into the box, goals and assists. And then obviously we've got, Andre Santos can do it all, has been doing it all. If you're looking at those 4 centre midfielders next season, are you lining up with 2 of them, 3 of them? How are you fitting those into the team?
Wow. Yeah, it's a difficult question. It takes a lot to think about. It's something that's definitely gonna, you ask me today, you ask me tomorrow, you ask me the day after, you probably get 3 different answers. But off rip, I can't pick apart who's better than who at the minute. There was a point in time where you would argue Lavia is the one out of the 3 that actually are at the club at the minute that would have to be the one playing. Now I think it's hard to argue that anyone other than Caicedo next to Enzo is going to be the spine of the team. It has to be that spine. So efficient together, play so well together. I feel like it has to be them 2. But I want to see at least 3 of them. But because I want.
And you got to remember, Enzo Maresca reckons Reece James is a midfielder as well.
Well, then let's just play a fucking 2-7-1. You know what I mean? Let's just get it done.
Bring that diamond back.
I'm telling you, bro. Moving like back shots, man. But hey, yeah, I don't know. I was
talking about just the Jose formation, but.
But listen, Andre Santos is an incredible football player.
Back shots. Are you fucking getting?
Yeah, you're drawing a nine, bro. You're drawing a nine with that one there, bro. But chill. Listen, I got ahead.
Back is diamond.
Your back at the diamond. Listen, I don't know. I think that all of them have got quality. I think that any one of them that we decide to let go, one of them's going to have to leave. We can't have 4 quality players like that in the core, especially if someone's thinking about Reece James moving more central. Please don't do that. He'll be out for all year if you play him in a 6 because he's going to get involved in a dirty challenge against West Brom. You know it's going to be the case. I'm not having it.
Do you think he's
But
more likely to get injured at centre mid than
yeah,
right back?
100%. And I think that maybe you'll do the hammies more at fullback. You might do them the muscle injuries, but he's going to get a break if he plays at 6. Someone's going to go into him. He's going to get a break. He's going to get a tear. He's going to get a snap. He's going to get a long 6, 9, 12 monther. And I'm not having it with Reece James. If he can't really get the fullback if you can't play at right back for a full year without getting injured, pulling up weight and holding his calf, would you think he's going to do it in the 6, where he's more involved in that football build-up? He's got more people charging at him in the midfield. I don't think it's a good idea. But yeah, I think that out of those 4, sadly, it's probably Andrey Santos. He's probably going to be the one getting the chip. He's played at other clubs. I think he's the most. I think he's got the most potential out of all of them. Then Caicedo, then Enzo. I really do. I think he's a fucking problem, and to squeeze him into his side, we can't play them out of position. It's difficult. Once again, I'll keep walking around it without giving you an answer, but it has to be Enzo, it has to be Caicedo, and I want to see Andrey Santos there, but I can't see it long term. And Lavia's just done too much. He's just done too much for the club to go.
It is a dilemma because then, we haven't even spoken about the likes of Ugo Chukwu, Amugu, who we've just brought in. We have so many players in this role. But yeah, I've got to say, I agree with Dakai. That kind of broke my heart a little bit unexpectedly when you said that, because if we don't use Santos, I think the way that in which we have dominated midfield's best this season has been with a 3 in midfield. And I would also agree last season. Even though neither of us are huge Gallagher fans, I think we dominated and won the game in midfield best when we had a midfield 3 of Enzo, Gallagher and Caicedo. And I feel like if you work somebody into that final role, whether it's you give Enzo the Gallagher role and let him go and run about like a fucking madman and bring somebody else with a little bit more discipline in, whether that's Santos, whether that's Lavia sitting alongside Moises Caicedo. I also would agree. I feel like the best situation for Reece James is to keep him at right back in this role. If in this system, if you're using an inverted right back, he's going to be spending the majority of midfield of game in midfield anyway. Why would you want to move him into midfield just to put somebody else at right back who is then going to be sitting alongside Reece James at midfield? So for me, it would make the most sense, to leave Reece James at right back. Ideally have a 3 of maybe next season, Enzo, Lavia and Caicedo, and then obviously work Santos into the team. But it'll be interesting. I can't see him not being part of the squad next year. Similarly, I can't believe that Ugo Chukwu would get picked over him. Amugu, I imagine, will go out on loan next season. It remains to be seen. Obviously, a lot of variables in the air. But on the face of it, another good problem to have. We've got too many talented individuals and we don't know where to fit them in. So fingers crossed we bring back that old school 4-4-2 diamond, little Makaleli, Lampard, Duff, Gronkia, Good Johnson, Drogba. I'm at half fucking mast talking about it, lads. Get the diamond back.
I'm telling you, bro.
Listen, as Chums and I both grew up in the same era, watching the same Chelsea teams as kids. Obviously, being a centre-back, John Terry was my idol, but Makaleli, he was the one. He was the one. My dad used to tell me, that's your job. Do the Makaleli role. There have been better centre defensive midfielders, but there has never been anybody that's owned the role quite like Makaleli. You don't hear nobody saying it's the Busquets role, it's the Xavi role, it's the Makaleli role. Nobody did it like him, man. Makaleli was my fucking guy growing up.
Yeah, I'm telling you, man. Just to add to that, it's a special group of players. You get players like Panenka who redefine a shot. You get players like Cruyff who define like the turn of a ball. But Makaleli to change the position. It's the only player that you can really say that about. He actively changed how the 6 was handled.
Franz Beckenbauer, bro.
It's insane. It's absolutely
model
insane.
Football.
Yeah, he's you could probably make the argument he's the best of all time up to his point.
100%. I don't think. Even if you take into account modern players, I just think there's
A
nobody
couple
that
of
had
them get
the
there, though.
cultural impact, man. You think about the centre backs that we've had. We haven't even fucking discussed Michael Essien, bruv. The centre midfielders Chelsea have had and plucked out from Africa.
What a
Oh
boy, by
my
the way.
goodness, we have really had the best of that continent. But just very quickly as well, because it's on topic while Barcelona, I think my fucking headphones have just died. It's on topic while we're watching Barcelona. Now, I don't know too much about him. I've seen him a few times. Fermin Lopez looks like a good player, but I don't really know too much about him. I don't know if you want to comment on that. There have been a few links that Chelsea have been sniffing around him as a new centre midfielder for next summer. I mean, the general consensus from that conversation is we don't fucking need one. But if we do, what do you think of Fermin Lopez?
I mean, I think the same thing about Fermin Lopez as I think about Amugu. Probably a solid player, but why are we looking there? There's very clear holes in the team that me and you as supporters can see. So I don't understand how people in the club, managers, owners, just don't see it as well. You know, I think there's a clear lack of depth up top. You know, Jackson, fantastic. He could probably do with a project striker. Maybe not 18-year-old Marc he's the greenest player in the football club. But yeah, I think that I think that definitely needs to happen. That's the interesting point, that Dekai. The players nowadays can't lace up the previous generation's boots. I don't know. I think that with the evolution of the game, I think that skill goes up all round. You know, I think that for every player that gets better going forward, defenders get better, and ultimately the game's got more boring. I don't think you're allowed to be a JJ Okocha without getting subbed off, to be totally frank. Because if there was a player running around the wing, you know, doing turns and spinning players, I think they get dubbed as an Anthony nowadays. You know what I mean? Where back in the day, if a player like Anthony played in 2006, 2007, those little spins and turns, you know, people talking about him like he's a Delta Rat, like, wow, what a player he is.
Bruv, Anthony, and wait for it, just let it sink in first. Anthony is as good. Oh, nah, I can't say that. Anthony is Nani.
Probably. No, I would probably think that that's fair.
I felt deep saying that. I was like, oh, wow, nah, this is peak on Nani. Nani was actually Lidge, bro.
No, I was going to say the only reason why that's incomparable is just because Nani actually scored bangers quite regularly as well. I think that Nani was, yeah, you know, he could hit it from range, but I don't really see Anthony really shooting full stop. Stephen Michaels, the current owners nowadays can't lace up the previous owners' boots. That is a statement I will agree with. I think that ownership has become so much more about money that they've lost the art, that the fact that this is a game, you know, this is a fun, this is football, yay, you know, fun, happy. And I think it does stem from the fact that Roman Abramovich kind of made everyone think that if you just moneyball it, the fun will come along the way. And I don't think that that's really happened for any other club outside of Chelsea, to be totally honest. Maybe PSG, but
see that's there what you said. Could anybody lace Abramovich's boots, though? That's an unfair question.
Exactly, right?
That
exactly.
There is the goat of football ownership.
And I'll be honest, I don't know if this is a crazy thing to say. I've got hope we'll see him again. I really do.
I mean, war's still going on, bro. The war's it's still very much a war.
Is it? Is it though? This is what I'm trying to make them understand.
Wait, you're trying to go Kiev and find out. I will back it, bro. First Two Blues vlog has got to be a banger. And if we just somehow find ourselves in the middle of fucking Chernobyl,
so you're telling me we're adding a third person to the podcast, yeah? This is Mikhailo Mudryk, but he's gonna be showing us around Kiev, bro. Saying,
oh my god,
Zagreb, and then one there.
I mean, listen, someone needs to tell us where he is, because
the guy. No, I'm talking about here. Yeah, I don't want Roman Abramovich buying that stupid, sweaty, disgusting scam of a club.
Do you think we miss Mudryk?
Not really.
No,
to be honest, not really. I think the injection of pace that he was adding, like, I get it. At times it was useful, but I think that, like, outside of Conference League, I think he was just a bit out of his depth for a long period of time, mate. So I you know, once again, the last person I would have expected to be on Peds, but probably the last person I would expect to be starting at left wing at the club as well. So yeah, don't know.
Fair enough. Well, with Mikhailo Mudryk obviously out for an extended period, Oh, sorry, I caught a glimpse of a comment which I agree with. Today's football's killed individualism and creativity.
Yes.
It's all about systems to create easy goal scoring. 100%
Yes.
creative expression is a thing of the past. I think the best and easiest example to look at is Jack Grealish at Man City. Unbelievably exciting player at Aston Villa. Very,
Do you know what I was going to say? I was going to say Erling Haaland. No. It's exactly, and it's true, isn't it? Because he would have, if we didn't have this way of playing football, he would have probably been a pretty good striker, but he wouldn't have been this goal machine, because I feel like so much of them are put up on a plate for him. And, you know, as you said, players like Jack Grealish, they've had the individualism stripped away because his role is to feed Haaland. So it just goes to show that this Man City system is the patient zero of this problem.
Yeah, but it is, and I do think kind of, and it does worry me, because when the easiest comparison to Lamine Yamal is to look at, particularly for us, is to look at Esteban Willian. And I do kind of think about it and look, I don't know if Lamine Yamal would be able to do that in the Prem, because I feel like 2 attempted take-ons, the fans are going to start to fucking boo him. His manager's going to tell him to keep the fucking ball instead of keep losing it. I don't know if that sort of creative freedom and expression exists in the Premier League anymore, which is incredibly hypocritical after I, called it the best and most competitive league in the world, hands down, 20 minutes ago. But it is, I suppose, it shows you, what, another great example is Ange Postecoglou. And look, I won't doubt, his ideology, his footballing mantra, his kind of identity is fantastic, but it ain't for the Premier League. Like, you come playing happy-go-lucky, attractive quality football in the Premier League, you're going to get dicked. You're going to get absolutely fucking schlonged in the first 12 games. And like Leicester, Southampton, you're going to get dubbed the worst team to have ever played in the Premier League. So listen, teams, managers, if you're new to the Premier League, stick to what the fuck you know. Stop trying to reinvent the wheel. Stop trying to be Man City. Just do your thing. Just play 10 deep. You've seen how teams like Chelsea struggle when we're up against 10. Why the fuck are teams like Leicester trying to play out from the back when they know they could just stick 10 men behind the ball and Chelsea would not be able to? Stop doing it, man. You're ruining football. Pep Guardiola, you prick. Anyway, moving on. Fuck me. I feel like that took an absolute segment out of us. But moving on, and obviously nice little segue from the Mudryk conversation. There hasn't been much conversation about Chelsea targets. Obviously, we mentioned Fermin Lopez, but another player been heavily linked over the last couple of weeks, Rafa Leao. And not just the last couple of weeks. This is a player that's been linked with a move to Chelsea and to other big teams in Europe for the last few years. Charms, what's your general... First off, before you think about Chelsea and the move, what's your kind of general perception? What do you think about Rafa Leao?
I love him. I think he's a great player. I think he's one of the more underrated forwards in Europe. I've been saying this for a while. He was someone that, when we were talking about... Yeah, for sure. I mean, I think people look at a handful of games that he has that aren't amazing, and they go very quickly to say a player like Rafael Leao isn't that good. I know a lot of people have a lot of love for him, but I think that's when he puts up the performances to back it. But I've heard a lot of slander about him, and I don't know if that's maybe because, certain people that I speak to about football, a very close friend of mine is a diehard Inter fan. I know a lot of people who watch Italian league. I've got part of my family's Italian who are massive Rossoneri, AC Milan bangouts, and they weren't really too pleased with him because they wanted that Zlatan, they wanted that clinical striker. They love Joao Felix. I think there's a bit of racism in there as well, to be totally frank, but
my family are massive Milan fans. They hate Leao, but they love Joao Felix.
Love Joao Felix,
though. There.
Yeah, and so don't worry, my family is half AC Milan, half Chelsea.
Don't name them.
It's long, but listen, Rafael Leao, shout out Nonna. Rafael Leao is a fantastic player as far as I'm concerned. I think that he would fit well at Chelsea. I think that the way he attacks players, I think he's ready for the Premier League. Needs a little bit more strength about him, and he'll be ready. But apart from that, I think it's time. I think it's time. He's shown it in the Champions League, he's shown it in the Italian League. I think he's ready to show it in the Prem. Crazy segment, though.
My main thing with Leao, and feel free to negate me on this as much as possible, work rate. I think it fucking stinks. And this may just be from Twitter clips I've seen or the moments I've tuned in where he's not running back. But in general, I'm not doubting the quality. I think he's an excellent player. But I do not. If Madueke frustrates me, I feel like this guy is going to give me a fucking cardiac arrest.
Yeah. No, I think that's what it comes down to with the Rafael Leao thing. I think that a lot of people think he's quite a lazy player, and I think that's why, as I was mentioning, I think he's quite underrated. I haven't watched enough of him for 90 minutes to go ahead and call him lazy or say enough about his work rate, but I think there's a quality player in there, and I think that you don't sign for a club like Chelsea and have the liberty or afford the time to be lazy. I don't think you have the chance to play football without giving it 110%. I think players like Cole Palmer show that he's given 110% blood, sweat, and tears from the minute he's got into the club, and it's come out on paper. Yeah, facts. I think he's bleeding out of every orifice. And the other one as well is a player like Cucurella. I think that we weren't best pleased with him, and he's put in the effort, the time, and the ability has come with that. And just through hard work and effort alone, we've had players like Kiernan Dewsbury Hall, Conor Gallagher, Cucurella, in some respects, Reece James. Hard work has put them into the team, and they've stayed there because of the work that they're willing to put in. And Rafael, I think that if he does put the hard work in, he does show that he wants to play football for us. He does try and bag it. He doesn't stop moving. He's got the eye on the ball. He stays locked in, like I know he can be. I think that he'd be a fantastic player.
And I'm assuming he'd come in on the left side.
If not,
him on the left side, Palmer in the middle, Esteban on the right, Jackson up top. Or could he? Well, that's the thing. Is he limited to a wing position? Could he double up as a 9, or do we need he's not an out and out 9?
Yeah, no, I wouldn't say he's an out and out 9, but I would definitely say that you get the best performances from him up top. So I would play it in a 2, try and figure that out. Maybe a 3-5-2, bring it back to that 2-core ball with the inverted fullbacks. We know how Reece James likes to play off of that. So there's definitely options we can make that work. But once again, then the midfield that we were just talking about, how excellent that is. I think it's definitely a problem of tomorrow year, but it will be a good problem to have for sure. If we
the other thing as well is with Rafael, and this is obviously just kind of speculation, but I mean he's not going to be available for less than 70 mil.
Why? Why not?
Because he's a top European. I mean, that's just the price that. Is he running down his contract? Is he? I mean, he's supposedly a sought after player and one of the top players in Europe, in the top clubs in Europe. I can't see them letting him go for anything less than 60, 70 mil.
This is the thing, right? I think that he's a player that hasn't left the club, even though there's been rumours for years on years on years. I think there's a reason behind that. I don't think it's AC Milan. I think that they wanted to kind of have that replaced. I think that if you were to look at clubs in the Premier League and the relationship with AC Milan, Chelsea's top of the list. I think we've got a great relationship with them. Yeah. And I think, to be totally honest, the business that we've had selling them, I think we've been mugged off a handful of times, to be totally honest. Pulisic,
Christian Pulisic,
the wage structure for Joao. Then you have the, Tomori. Then you have players like Loftus-Cheek. There's been a handful of them, and I think it's our turn to go out there and get a player like that 40 million, to be totally honest.
See, you've said 40 mil. See, Dakai reckons he signed an extension. Oh, wrong one. Signed an extension recently. If you were to say Rafael or
Kvaratskhelia.
Kvaratskhelia. Same. Racist!
You support Chelsea. You support Milan.
Man said.
Get rid of this conversation.
Half of my family's racist. They support Milan. Oh, it's okay. The other half support Chelsea. I got some bad news for you. They were the motherfuckers that wouldn't let that motherfucker on the train.
I want to clear that speculation up in the comments. You have to understand that, 40 mil. There's no way 40 mil. Yeah, well, 12 mil. There's no way 12 mil on Pulisic. No. That we can let be in the air, yeah. I hope my mum's watching this, to be totally honest. That would be so funny. She does do that every now and then as well. But yeah, come on now, shout out, mum. But my nose black. She got a coke problem, but yeah,
you got Mumsy.
Gang, yeah, every time, bro. But yeah, I don't know, man. I think that we've made solid deals with them. I think it's time for a bang in return. I think that you look at something like 40 million and say that there's no way. We got absolutely bugger all for Pulisic. There is a way for 12 mil for Pulisic. He was a fringe player and that always injured. And that's not necessarily true, though, was it? He was one of our best players in the Champions League season that we won. He was in favour with Thomas Tuchel. He just wasn't in favour with a new manager. So they got rid of him for peanuts. I don't think that, it's to do with him always being injured and underperforming and had a year left and all of that. I think that there was a year left on his contract when he left for sure. But, I wanted a contract extension. And I don't think that would have been the case if he was a fringe player who was always injured. But that's my take on it. That's my take on it. Yes, but that was 2 years ago when he got sold. Yes, he won the Champions League a year and a half before that, and he was still a fantastic player the whole time.
Yeah, no, Milan have mugged us off. They probably owe us back pay of about 60 million for 3-4 players that they've massively underpaid for. But let's be honest, could be worse. We could have to write a check for £89 million at the end of the season for players that we didn't sign. You're welcome, Jim Ratcliffe. Please build that new stadium. Please. I would love nothing more than United to have the biggest stadium in England and not be able to sign a player for 4 years. Fucking please build that stadium. It would be the most stupid thing ever in world football.
They'll get relegated.
They'll get relegated.
Honestly, 100%.
They deserve it so much for the way that club has been run into the ground. And look, we might have disliked them. I used to have so much respect for Man United. They might have been cheating scummy cunts, but you know what? They were the best cheating scummy cunts on the planet for about 20 years. And the decline has been abysmal. I feel more sorry for Man United than I do feel for Arsenal. Because I don't for a shred of fucking empathy for Arsenal. But
because they have to have had something, they would have had to have a fantastic squad and depth and culture and then lose all of it. But they've just been nearly men for 20 years. But Man United actually had that rich, European culture as well as Premier League culture to go along with it. To just see the decline from, 2008 to now. I mean, they were laughing about Terry's slip and I'm laughing about the entire club's slip. So, who's had the last laugh now?
It is nuts. It is like just the fall from great. Oh yeah, no, I drink it in. May it continue for a long, long time. They deserve nothing but the worst. But yeah, back to us. I mean, yeah, Thursday. Are you confident?
It just stinks of 1-0 extra time. Oh. Horrible. Oh, I think we smack them. I think we have to.
You've got to remember, bro. You got to remember. I'm going, so we definitely don't smack them.
Oh yeah, true. Fuck it could be 1-1.
Commentator's curse. In
1-1 and go through on aggregate. Yeah, probably something like that.
Yeah, I it's one of those where I genuinely don't know how to predict it, how to call it. Obviously, nothing but a win is acceptable. We need to go out there and absolutely fucking spank Copenhagen.
Yeah, I agree.
And then the big one is Sunday. Arsenal. The beginning of the. I'm still working on a stream. I want to do a stream for the beginning of the end. The run in. I see this as kind of. Let's go into Arteta terms. I see this as phase 3 of our season, of a 3-phase season. And I see us coming out of this phase 2 and just dupping Arsenal, burying their title hopes, and potentially, listen, air me out. I reckon we can catch Arsenal. I reckon they throw their toys out the pram the next couple of games. I reckon they realise the league's done, throw it, go for the Champions League, regret it.
Throw it, yeah.
We're 6 points behind Arsenal. We're not many points behind Arsenal, however many. It's 8 points, it's 6 points, whatever it is, we're close. And look, nobody's going to win the league but Liverpool. Congratulations. Well done. You've bought your way a league title. If we didn't need to know that over the last couple of weeks, we've seen it. Yeah, the PSG game was enough for me to know that you have paid off every single referee in Europe. Congratulations. You don't deserve it. But I reckon we can finish second. Talk to me. Run in the beginning of the end. Where do you think this Chelsea team is going to end up in the Premier League?
People were laughing at me about saying I still think We, I reckon you're
Don't
for
tell me you
what
think we
then?
can challenge.
Honestly, I think we're going to guarantee top
Hey,
4.
what did he say? Hey, call me
I think
Dave Blunts. Hey, call me Dave Blunts. Wearing that
You're off the double
15 XL Chrome Hearts. Man said I'm off the walk. Stephen, behave yourself.
Relax, bro. That's the Arsenal fan right there. But yeah, I think we got top 4 in the bag. I think we pipped City to it. I think that the top 4 is going to look like Liverpool, Chelsea, Forest,
Hey, we
Arsenal.
got second.
I think we can. I think if we beat Arsenal this weekend, yeah, I think we come second. If not, I think that we definitely come 4th, pushing for 5th. We'll be in Europe again next season. Fantastic, guaranteed. I love it. Whether it's through winning the Champions League,
finish the top 4. One Liverpool, second Chelsea,
3 Arsenal, and
4th
4 Forest. I really
Christ.
believe it. I really do believe in it.
I'm with you.
They're great. They're fantastic. I mean, watching them play football, it's exciting. It's fun. They play clever football. They're entertaining. Great manager, great team. I don't see how they don't get in the top 4 this season.
Yeah, well, I can't remember what his comment was. His caption was, but Hudson-Odoi put something on the weekend. He was like, "We're not joking. Like, we're not here fucking about. Like, we're here seriously
to win the league." Yeah, exactly. I don't blame them. I mean, they got 19 points to make in 9 games, but listen, if they can do it,
he said we are not here to joke. These motherfuckers are not fucking around. I tell you what, look, as much as obviously it'd be fantastic for Chelsea to finish above them, and I fully expect us to finish above Nottingham Forest, regardless of how well they play. How good is it to see Hudson-Odoi and Ola Aina playing such a crucial part?
It is good.
And that kind of extends to across the globe. I mean, you said it earlier. Obviously, Chelsea, best academy in the world, undisputed. I don't think La Masia touches us. Genuinely do not think an academy in this world gets near Chelsea. The amount of talent we produce, not even year in, year out, week in, week out. We got fucking 8, 9-year-olds that are kicking ball to Yamal level. Like, this is an unbelievable setup, bro. But yeah, I just think so much excitement going forward, so much to look forward to. We just need to make sure that we can nurture these players. And yeah, we've got, players playing all over the world. We mentioned Milan, got a few players playing over there, academy graduates in virtually every single continent on this planet. But somehow we managed to retain the best of them. And fingers crossed, we will see a few more of them on Thursday. Just one more note before we go, Charms. Obviously, Tyreek George being the kind of standout academy graduate this season. I think he's on his 3rd assist now in the top team. With kind of the conversation around Mudryk Leal, the wingers, Jadon Sancho kind of, don't want to say falling off a cliff recently, but, not improving to the level that he should be. Is this the perfect opportunity for Tyreek George to come into the team, or will Chelsea still be looking to buy another winger in the summer?
I mean, he's been phenomenal so far. As far as I'm concerned, I think that the other day I saw him come on as an impact sub. Within 5 minutes, he's had a shot on target. He's had an assist. It's like, this guy is desperate to put up numbers, and I think that's what we need. We need someone who's desperate to just put up some numbers and play for the badge. And who's going to do it better than that? I mean, looks aside, I think play style wise, he's like a blue Saka, isn't he? He's like a blue Sax. No, the way they play football, he's so looks aside, mate. He does look bare like Sax in it.
Yeah, but he's not left-footed.
And
so what do you mean looks aside? Looks aside, they're nothing alike.
What do you mean? They're both aggressive, like playing down the wing, like play defensive if they want to,
Saka's
but it's
not
their...
back, man.
Saka's not a left back, mate. Let's be honest. He started as a left back, mate, but he's never a left back, is he? Does he play for left back for England?
Palmer's in the England team. No, he won't play for England, bruv. Thomas Tuchel's in charge. Lewis Hall left back. Fucking Reece James right back. Cole Palmer right wing.
Do you know what I mean? Facts.
I can't wait for Arsenal players to not get a look in. Honestly,
it's going to be
if
brilliant.
Declan Rice doesn't get into the England team, I'm going to be fucking laughing.
Yeah, and Dewsbury Hall does. That'd be so fucking funny, isn't it?
Listen, we both think he's dog shit. I'd pick Dewsbury Hall over Declan Rice for centre midfielder.
Yeah, but that's out of disrespect, isn't it? And I get that.
Yeah, mid versus mid. What can we say?
Yeah, Dekai, do you know what it is, though? Do you know what it is? In the minute that you say two people look similar, if they're not the race that you are, people can have a problem with it, brother.
But they do look not identical.
They look so similar,
incredibly
mate.
similar, yeah.
They look identical, geezer. Let's be totally frank.
Facial bone structure, all the same. Yeah, no, it is scary, but listen, I'm going to say it. You heard it here first. You didn't hear it here first because you've heard it on this channel multiple times before. Tyreek George clears Saka, man. Tyreek George is so much better than Saka is. Tyreek George will be so much better than Saka is. Watch this. Saka's a one-trick pony. When he comes back from injury, people will figure out how to deal with him. He won't be as sharp, won't be as quick. People will just be snapping him left, right, and centre. Tyreek George has a future ahead of him. Watch this space. Anyway, perfect timing because Benfica Barcelona has just wrapped up and we have got our first quarter-finalist of the UEFA Champions League. Barcelona running out 3-1 winners on the night, 4-1 aggregate. Charms, I know you're going to fucking hate me and Ty's going to hate me even more. Last thing before we go, talk to me about where Rafinha stands. Look, we've all been hearing these fucking Mo Salah Ballon d'Or shouts. If Mo Salah wins the Ballon d'Or, I'm quitting football. I don't want to watch this sport anymore. Rafinha? I'm hearing Ballon d'Or shouts for Rafinha. Talk to me.
He's pretty phenomenal, man. Like, to come from Leeds to Barcelona, put up the numbers he has, the performances he has. I don't think you can take away from what Mo Salah's done this season, man. He's having a Ballon d'Or. He's having a Messi, Ronaldo-esque season. He really is. And numbers aside, performances have been excellent. I think that we're haters, and I get that. Maybe yourself has pinched more than me.
Yep.
But yeah, Liverpool. I just think that I wouldn't be happy with the integrity of football if Mo Salah don't win a Ballon d'Or, to be honest.
I wouldn't be happy with the integrity of football if Mo Salah did win a Ballon d'Or. Guy fucking.
Well, I would say the same thing about Wesley
less
Sneijder.
Footballing ability than me.
You're out of your mind. You are out of your
guarantee,
mind.
I'm saying it. I'll say this with a straight face. I've got a better long pass than Mo Salah. I've got a better ping than Mo Salah. 100%. I ain't lying. I know I cracked up. I ain't lying, bro. I've got a better ping. Hey, if you were to put me and Mo Salah on a foot golf course, guarantee you I'll go around in less strokes. Pause. Right. That seems as apt a place as any. 19 minutes. Right, Charms. One last thing before we go.
Sorry, Di.
Bet in line, please, for Liverpool PSG.
I'm taking Liverpool on the money line. I think that they're going to beat them. I don't think it will be a draw where they get cagey. I think they confirm it tonight. I think that I think that PSG, they had them for the most part in the last game, but Liverpool's tenacity, their want, their dart, it's just going to drag them over the line. And I think we got a win from Liverpool over here. While my laptop is refreshing the other games, I can't quite remember what they are. And Inter Feyenoord, I think you've got to take Inter. I think you've got to take Inter, and I think particularly after last week, you just have to take Bayern Munich. They look phenomenal. I don't see any of these games ending in a draw or really being close.
Florian Wirtz injured as well, I think.
Yeah, that's interesting, to be honest. I didn't know that. But yeah, I think once again they're gonna put the stamp on it. German rivals, just kill them off. I think it'll be pretty cut and dry. A couple of set of games today.
I've got to agree with you on the latter two, but I think the PSG Liverpool one is so hard to predict because if you're going off the game, PSG wiped the floor with
obviously.
them.
That's what I
meant. When you can tell. When you can tell someone's already won the cup. When you can tell someone's already won the game. Liverpool have already won this game, lads. I guarantee you for now, Liverpool are already through. It's written, script is done, it's been turned in. It is what it is. But
if they can play like they did last week and win that game, come back this time at Anfield with a little bit of bollocks about you, I think they're going to win this game, man.
I mean, look, I'm going to literally jump off the stream and lump my mortgage on fucking PSG because I can't imagine the odds are bad. I think away from home, needing a win, I think the odds are probably pretty good on PSG. But we'll find out. Let us know in the comments what you think. Who do you think will go through tonight? Let us know as well what you think of our little best in the Prem segment. Do you think there are any other Chelsea players? We named four Chelsea players that are arguably the best in their position in the Premier League. Marc Cucurella, Reece James, Moises Caicedo, and Cole Palmer being the iffy one at the moment. Let us know, is there a better player in those positions in the Premier League? What do you think of this run-in for Chelsea? Are we going to get top four? What's the top four going to look like? Let us know. Appreciate every single person that has joined. Dakai, Stephen, Moses. Who else? Who was in early? Ed Weed was in early. Appreciate every single person that's been in here. Make sure to continue subscribing. Wait. Oh, fuck. I fucked it. Make sure you subscribe to the... Oh, it doesn't even say podcast on there. Fuck! Nah, I fucked it. Right. Like, comment, subscribe. See you next week. Invincible. Season finale, Thursday. Come on, up the chills.